Well, it's Friday. That's good news. Not so much weather-wise. We do have, as you're liable to pick up on the microphone, showers and storms rumbling about, and we're still talking about a soaker tomorrow. Rain estimates are pretty much on par as to where they were yesterday. We can break it down to say I think the western part of the state could get 2 to 4 inches of rain. I think the viewing area well in the middle of 1 to 2 inches of rainfall. But still a lot of moisture headed this way from the leftovers of Tropical Storm Bill. We'll talk about that. We'll also talk about a forecast, which it's been a little more than tweaked since I saw you last. Headlines tonight include several indictments from Johnson County, and it's interesting to note that nearly half, probably, or at least close to that number, of those indicted are from the Magoffin County area. We'll go over the complete list for you in just a few moments. And as I referred to last night, a couple of meetings the Magoffin County Board of Education did meet. I'll have that footage for you early next week. We will hear, though, from Edith Conyers. If you are in a question of any sort, you know who Conyers is, and the First Lady certainly does, as she is considered to be an advisor to the First Lady. And she was here in Sagersville last night to talk about an event which had been planned several months ago, but kind of fell apart there right at the end, but one that she has vowed to put her full support behind. We'll talk about that and how it's just going to be a nice day for anyone and everyone to be a part of the Dawkins Trail. So all that and much more, and we've got some other news and announcements and information, of course, for you. A hit and run that's still being investigated over in Floyd County. We know that it happened in the westbound lane of Kentucky 80 near Martin, near the city limits. We also know that the man that was initially listed as being in critical condition has now been identified as 52-year-old Jeffrey Turner, and he's also said to have passed away from his injuries. An autopsy result is still pending, but he was struck by a vehicle, and at last report, authorities are still trying to determine what kind of vehicle it was and any other information that they could ascertain, as it was a hit-and-run accident. That's all I know at this hour. Turning to some high-profile cases, I did get a heads-up today from the U.S. Attorney's Office, a reminder that Wendell Keith Hall, the former state representative from Pike County, is scheduled to stand trial in federal court in Pikeville this coming Monday, where he faces bribery charges, or a bribery charge. His co-defendant, Kelly Shortridge, as I informed you some time back, pleaded guilty in February of this year to a charge of solicitation of a bribe by an agent or of a program receiving federal funds. He was serving in the capacity of a mine inspector at the time. Both were indicted in October of last year. Jury selection will take most of Monday's proceedings. Opening statements could happen sometime in the afternoon. No guarantee on that time frame, but the trial in and of itself is expected to start on Monday after some delays. Eric C. Kahn was in court for the first time in regards to this particular hearing. His attorneys requested that he make no statement. He did not have the opportunity to during the hearing and refused to, and only spoke through his attorneys before and afterwards. But the judge in the case did issue some rulings, or if you will, support some, as a restraining order that was already in place will remain. One that was put in place some days ago in order to prevent, said the judge, Kahn from potentially transferring or moving any assets, cash, anything of that nature or of great value, or possibly destroying any potential evidence, all of which he has already stood accused of doing. Both sides were allowed 15 to 20 minutes each to make their arguments. However, in the first hearing in which Kahn was present, or has been present, as he was ordered to be by the judge, it also had to be cut short by the same judge who had an emergency. So therefore, they have continued the proceeding and the hearing until next Wednesday, also in Floyd County. A long list of indictments from Johnson County, that list consisting of a lot of individuals from Johnson as well as Magoffin counties. I'll have those after the break. To get high-speed internet on their state-of-the-art fiber optic network for all of your home and business solutions, or to watch TV without a contract on over 200 digital channels with superb quality, or stay connected with family and friends with 24/7 telephone service you can always depend on, contact Foothills Broadband today. Or just click on their link to the right to find out how they're working to provide the latest in communications at affordable prices with exceptional service at Foothills Broadband. Well, more than a dozen individuals indicted by the sitting Johnson County grand jury, and nearly half of those appear to be from the Sagersville and Magoffin County area. An Oil Springs woman, identified in court documents as 53-year-old Desi Williams, was indicted on charges of identity theft and theft by unlawful taking. She reportedly used another person's Direct Express debit card and then charged more than $1,400 to that card. She now faces up to 5 years in prison if she is found guilty. This and all the following, and of course any indictments, are not a fact of guilt, but merely a charge levied by the grand jury. Jessica Spradlin, 29, of Sagersville, 33-year-old Timothy Atkins of Inez, and 33-year-old Danielle Van Hoos of Thialco were all indicted as it relates to complicity charges for burglary in the first degree, theft charges of firearms, theft by unlawful taking over $500, receiving stolen property over $500 as well. The indictment alleges that Spradlin, Atkins, and Van Hoos, all three, went into the residence of a Riceville individual and then stole 16 different rifles, several shotguns, several handguns. This is a follow-up to a report that I ran per an investigation by the Johnson County Sheriff's Department a few weeks back. But several guns were taken with a value of thousands of dollars, several knives, other items as well, and a lot of jewelry, $8,000 in value or more for all of the items that were taken from the Riceville home. Meanwhile, Van Hoos and Spradlin and another individual, 33-year-old Diane L. Hackworth of East Point, were also indicted on complicity charges for receiving stolen property over $500. This is also related to the same residence, some of the same items. And then Atkins and Van Hoos were indicted on complicity charges as well in regards to an 82 by 20 Eagle American brand trailer. You may recall this was a trailer that I showed you that was stolen and used to haul some of the stolen equipment from that Riceville residence. And Atkins and Van Hoos were also indicted on charges of being persistent felony offenders, and they were also indicted on charges of being in possession of a firearm. For all of those charges, Spradlin, Atkins, and even Van Hoos face up to 20 years in prison. Hackworth up to 5 years if he were to be found guilty on the charges when they go to trial or court. Danielle Van Hoos was also indicted on some drug-related charges, possession of a controlled substance identified as oxycodone, and possession of drug paraphernalia, that being some drug paraphernalia including spoons, chemicals, and an aluminum can that he was said to be in possession of, as well as marijuana. He faces another 3 years on those charges. 31-year-old Samantha Newman reportedly started a fight and then assaulted or injured a Johnson County Sheriff's deputy, as well as an officer who is employed in the Big Sandy Regional Detention Center. She also damaged one of the deputy's radios in the process of the assault. She faces up to 5 years after being indicted on charges of assaulting a police officer and assault of a correctional officer, as well as public intoxication, criminal mischief, as well as being a persistent felony offender. 39-year-old Jason Napier was indicted on charges of flagrant non-support. He reportedly owes child support, says the grand jury, in an amount of just under $6,000, facing a 5-year prison term. He owes a little more than $5,963, so alleges the indictment. A Paintsville woman faces up to 10 years in prison if she were to be convicted. She's identified in an indictment warrants as 33-year-old Shelley Mead of Paintsville. She's indicted on being a persistent felony offender, as well as elder or adult abuse or exploitation and identity theft, causing a loss of more than $300 to another individual. A Sagersville woman is one of 2 women who were indicted on charges of second-degree escape. Both were being monitored at their residences through the court monitoring system using ankle bracelets and other devices as part of their home incarceration, which had been ordered by the courts. Megan Howard, 20, of Sagersville, and a 31-year-old woman from West Virginia from the Fort Gay area, Tara Likens, were both indicted on charges of second-degree escape, now facing an additional 5 years in prison on these charges. And 3 Magoffin Countyans were indicted on charges of complicity to theft by unlawful taking. 32-year-old Matthew Binder and 26-year-old Crystal Binder, as well as 41-year-old Jessica Green, all from the Magoffin County area, were indicted on charges after court records indicate that the Binders and Green shoplifted a DeWalt tool set from Lowe's in Paintsville in September of last year, a value of more than $540, and then shoplifted another DeWalt brand tool set, as well as another Cobalt brand tool set worth another $279, A total value of $828 in items stolen from the Paintsville Lowe's, now facing 5 years in prison, all lodged in the Big Sandy Regional Detention Center. And this indictment, like many that I've already read, are also a follow-up to a report that I've covered, a theft that I brought to you a few weeks ago. The Johnson County Sheriff's Department getting a tip about the recovery or the location of a stolen ATV. It was a dune buggy of sorts that was recovered at the residence of a 29-year-old Justin D. Combs. He fled authorities on foot at that time, but was taken into custody at his residence just a couple of days later. He has since been indicted on charges of receiving stolen property over $500 and for being a persistent felony offender. These charges relate to stealing the dune buggy worth an estimated $6,000 from a home in River. He faces up to 5 years in prison, at least 5 years in prison, on these charges. An Inez woman, 56-year-old Bobby Maynard of Inez, was indicted on charges of elder abuse and exploitation, fraudulent use of a credit card, and theft by unlawful taking. Indictment warrants say that Maynard's alleged actions netted her some $37,000 in proceeds and that much of a loss to another individual she took advantage of, and has since been lodged in the Big Sandy jail, facing up to 10 years in prison. An East Point woman, 22-year-old Tiona Creekmore, reportedly made some $662 in fraudulent purchases and was also charged with elder abuse and exploitation. She made those charges to another individual's account, she too facing up to 10 years. The sitting Johnson County grand jury also heard evidence brought forth on cases as they pertain to a Mark Minnick, Samantha Newman, a Harold Reynolds, and June Reynolds, and returned no true bills on either of those circumstances. And as always, the indictment charge, of course, is not a charge of guilt, but an accusation that will, of course, take these individuals to court for further consideration by the judicial system. I've still got more headlines. Right now, we need to find out what's happening on tonight's McGoffin Farm Bureau sponsored community calendar. And I've got a birthday wish. Anna Mae Stevens, love your family, and with a whole lot of love from your family and from your friends, a happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to Anna Mae Stevens. Now, I've been telling you all this week as we started reminding you about the Relay for Life that they had a backup plan, and turns out it was a good one to have. So the Relay for Life in McGoffin County has already started. It started at 6, lasts for 6 hours until midnight, and the luminaria is set for 10 p.m. They'll, of course, try to do that, I'm sure, around some showers and storms, which have been rolling through. We'll take a look at what the radar has in store for us in the next few hours, just a few moments, but it is ongoing at North McGoffin Elementary. They are in the gymnasium, and they might wander outside for a few things. Who knows when they have a few breaks in the rain, and that may include the luminary, which is once again set for 10 o'clock. So you still got plenty of time to make it and help support the Relay for Life and help find a cure, help honor our survivors as well as those we have lost to this ongoing war and battle with cancer. The Relay for Life in McGoffin County. It's already started and lasts till 12 at North McGoffin Elementary. A reminder about Revival, which starts tonight at 7 and then nightly thereafter. Delbert Porter and Andrew Oliver hope that you will join them. So does Pastor Herman Russell at the Regular Primitive Baptist Church, and it is time for Revival. And it's time to send me your calendar announcements, birthdays and anniversaries and the like. And please, I don't know that I've done it today or this week. I may very well have now that I've said that. Anytime you send one in and it's not on that show, you let me know. I get a great deal of announcements and information coming from all sorts of directions. So please, if I ever drop one or miss one, you be sure and let me know. We don't want to leave someone out because it's a very special day. And, of course, a very special event that you have that you want everyone to know about. Keep that in mind. With that said, here are tonight's funeral service announcements there, as always brought to you by the McGoffin County Funeral Home. We've learned of the passing of 70-year-old Ernest Ray Talby of Route 30. He passed away on yesterday's date. He's survived by his wife, June Smith Talby, a daughter, Kimberly Ann Talby, and sons, Anthony Bryan and Ernest Gordon and Charles Elliott. Visitation is going to start after 6 o'clock tomorrow. It will continue all day Sunday, and prior to services, they've been set for this coming Monday at 1, with all of which, visitation and services from the Saggersville Funeral Home Chapel. Burial will follow afterwards at the Talby Cemetery at Frozen. And one last announcement comes in loving memory of Wanda Gasberg on what would have been her 67th birthday, missed by her kids, grandkids, family, and friends. To get high-speed internet on their state-of-the-art fiber optic network for all of your home and business solutions, or to watch TV without a contract on over 200 digital channels with superb quality, or stay connected with family and friends with 24/7 telephone service you can always depend on, contact Foothills Broadband today. Or just click on their link to the right to find out how they're working to provide the latest in communications at affordable prices with exceptional service at Foothills Broadband. Several months ago, there was an organized effort to see horse-drawn carriages and buggies allowed for one special day on the Dawkins Trail to give folks who might not have another opportunity or the ability to take advantage of the trail in that manner. Well, it kind of fell apart right at the very last moment. But since then, there is a renewed spark, and it actually, I think, began to turn into a little more than a spark at the first annual Royalton Rail Trail Festival, where a lot of equestrian folks were, of course, in attendance, amongst a lot of others, but a few of them really took to the idea. One such person has since made a return trip to Sagersville, and last night she was at the Friends of the Dawkins Line regular meeting. Edith Conyers, who has the ear of the First Lady, says that she is in full support of seeing such a day set aside. During their regular meeting last night, the Friends of the Dawkins Line, whose purpose is quite obvious given their title, and of course also given the fact that we have spoke about their efforts on numerous occasions here on Your News Today, hosted a special guest. One they've hosted before, one we have all come to know quite well since the Dawkins Rail Trail was established. And she also serves as an advisor, if you will, to First Lady Jane Beshear. Edith Conyers is everything equestrian. And when it comes to anything and everything equestrian, as it pertains to a trail anywhere in Kentucky, her opinion is highly regarded by the First Lady. And last night, she was here in Sagersville to attend the meeting to show her support to seeing that the Dawkins Trail sees at least one special day set aside so that horse and buggies and carriages are allowed, giving some folks who may never have that type of opportunity to take advantage of such a wonderful natural resource.
The local people here, like David May and his dad, and Randall and Danny Whitaker, all have approached me about hosting carriages on the Dawkins Line Rail Trail. And I knew from the get-go that they were not going to allow carriages on the Dawkins Line in general. So I have not really pushed for that, but I decided that it was probably time that we had a special day dedicated purely for carriages on a section of the trail. It would be just for the recreational drivers to be able to use the Dawkins Line for their carriages and see the scenery, especially for older folks who can't ride anymore. There's some of those that I've met. And just having a nice adventure. If you don't have a horse and you have to ride, you have a carriage. So we tried to kind of pull this together and come up with some potential dates. I have gotten tentative permission from the Department of Parks to host a day to do this. We're just beginning, and primarily I think I want to get the message across that anybody within hearing distance of my voice today, we want to find the recreational drivers in eastern Kentucky from any area, anywhere that would be interested in doing it, and to contact myself or Vicki Doucette or David May in order to tell us that they're interested.
Conyers and the committee all feel that there are probably more people out there who use horses and buggies for a recreational purpose than they are aware of, and they want to reach as many of those people as possible. For the event, when it is planned, they do believe that it will be for 2 or 4-wheel buggies or sulkies, up to 2 horses, with 2 being the maximum, but they already have some very high hopes that this is going to be a reality, and they hope to see some more input and support and even maybe some new ideas in the future. We'll be keeping up with our friends of the Dawkins Line and Miss Conyers as well. Now, here's a lot to keep up with. That's good a segue as I can muster up going into your Licking Valley RECC forecast. I have, looking at stats here, 2/10 of an inch, not quite a quarter of an inch, not really, almost 2/10 of an inch of rainfall today. And I know some folks have picked up much more than that. We're sitting at 2.86 inches for the month, just in case you're wondering. And I don't know that we'll double that. I don't think. I think some folks in western Kentucky may be in for a little more rain. And you can see that kind of bend there in the swirl as the leftovers from Bill make their way into western Kentucky, and we'll see that moisture and more in its intensity later on tonight. We've got some showers, hit and miss, as you can see, still coming towards the viewing area. This radar taken right at the 6 o'clock hour, so we've still got more to come as far as the likes of what we've been seeing, and then the meat of it, if you will, well, it all gets here later tonight and into your tomorrow morning. As far as severe weather, well, that's indicated by the green, the orange, and the red being enhanced, the orange being slight, and green being average, if you will. And through Sunday, we pretty much, well, we're right on that marginal and slight category. A lot of us in the slight category for any severe weather throughout the weekend, and I'm not really worried all that much about the severe weather. The rainfall, even though totals don't look to be as great as they were 24 hours ago, still certainly stand to be significant. 24 hours ago, this is what the National Weather Service was projecting as far as rainfall for a 3-day event through Sunday morning, us in the 2 to 4, 1 to 2 to our south, but that has since shifted. And even though it's blurry for some reason, well, you might have to squint to see it. My apologies. Even though western Kentucky has seen that 2 to 4 move up and to that area, we are now closer to the 1 to 2 inch range. And I think based on the radar depiction that I just showed you, that's a pretty safe guesstimate. So I don't see any real flooding problems except for those, small areas that traditionally see some with very little rain. But for the most part, I don't think flooding is going to be a widespread issue. But we could see up to 2 inches of rain, and some folks may indeed get on a little bit more than that, as you might get under a heavy downpour. But all in all, 69 for the low tonight. Mostly cloudy skies. We've covered the facts. Showers. Some storms are out there. We'll still see winds, I think, tomorrow. 6 to 8 miles per hour. Gusts maybe upwards of 16 miles per hour. It's going to be cloudy, and it's going to be full of showers and possibly a few storms. It's going to be a nice day to hit the couch, if at all possible, and think of all the things that you're not going to have to do outside. Sunday, we look to clear up, and this could move out decently early Sunday. I know it's a real specific time frame. I think we'll see partly sunny skies. We'll still see some showers lingering, but you'll be able to dodge a few, I think, and temperatures are going to increase up into around the 88-degree mark. Next week, we have the 90s moving back in a little earlier than thought. 87 on your Monday, mostly cloudy skies. I think Tuesday we'll still see the upper 80s as well. Wednesday and Thursday, I think we should bust the 90-degree mark and stay there for a couple of days and then maybe fall back down to the upper 80s throughout the latter part of next week. But definitely hot and humid conditions will be here with us next week. For now, that's all I've got on the weather. That's all I've got time for on the weather. Another week of news in the books and history. We hope you have a wonderful weekend. You're going to have to dodge some showers and storms and maybe spend, well, a little welcome time on the couch tomorrow. Nevertheless, if you see any news happening over the course of the weekend or anytime, be sure and let us know. We do hope you have a wonderful and safe weekend. We hope to see you back here Monday for more of Your News Today. Good night.